Today in Michigan, a vehicle crashed into a Jewish synagogue's kindergarten, which was filled with over 100 children. Thanks to the quick actions of teachers and security personnel, all the children were rescued. No one was injured.
What would you do when the boundary between life and death is measured only in seconds? It seemed like March 12th, 2026 would just be a peaceful day like any other in the quiet suburbs of Michigan. But suddenly a deafening crash tore through the air. A blazing car plowed straight into the hallway of the Temple Israel Synagogue, where hundreds of preschool children were deeply engrossed in play. A scene of absolute chaos ensued. How could ordinary teachers transform into extraordinary heroes defying danger to preserve all innocent lives on the thin line between life and death? Let's look back at the entire picture of this shocking incident. What do you think about the power of survival instincts and love in times of peril? Leave a comment sharing your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our upcoming meaningful stories. That morning began like any other normal day at the Reformed Jewish synagogue named Temple Israel. For a long time, this place has not only been a sacred space for practicing faith, but also a solid spiritual home for thousands of members in the area. More specifically, this campus also houses an early childhood education center, which was devotedly caring for about 140 little souls. The innocent laughter and chatter of the children seemed to make the space even warmer and overflowing with love. The incident happened in a flash when Ghazali, carrying a rifle, suddenly drove his car crashing through a hallway of the sacred synagogue. Local police forces stated that the collision with its immense impact force caused the vehicle to burst into fierce flames right after. Thick black smoke began to billow up and rapidly spread to the areas surrounding the scene. The scene at that moment was truly chaotic and filled with extreme tension, directly threatening the safety of everyone present inside the building. In the moment when the boundary between life and death became incredibly fragile, human survival instincts and sharpness rose up incredibly strongly. Ms. Cassie Cohen, the synagogue's director of strategic development, was standing right next to the horrific scene at that time. The moment she heard the ear-piercing noise, her intuition immediately told her that a terrible tragedy was unfolding. Without a single moment of hesitation, she instantly pulled the surrounding staff members and ran swiftly into the office area. After getting everyone safely inside, she quickly locked the door tightly to hide from the perpetrator's pursuit. Ms. Cohen's quick-witted and highly decisive action is a clear testament to her sharpness and high sense of responsibility in emergency situations. That immediate reaction not only helped her protect herself, but also saved the lives of her colleagues standing nearby from an unpredictable lurking danger. In another area right next to the car crash scene, the preschool teachers were also facing an immense and daunting challenge. The responsibility weighed heavily on their shoulders as they had to ensure absolute safety for over 100 children, including little angels who were merely 4 years old. Panic certainly must have appeared in their minds, but steady reason and boundless love for their students defeated all fear and faltering. Thanks to the emergency response drills regularly held previously, the staff did not lose their bearings at all. They acted in an incredibly professional, timely, and tightly organized manner down to every detail. The first and most valuable lesson we can draw from here is the core importance of training and thorough preparation. Prior preparation is never redundant because it can save hundreds of innocent lives. Have you ever wondered how ordinary people can maintain their composure and become so extraordinary when surrounded by life or death moments? Could it be that pure love and the sense of responsibility to protect the future generation infused those teachers with an immense invisible strength? Their superb coping skills helped keep all the children absolutely safe in a highly chaotic and danger-filled situation. While the teachers were giving their all to protect the children, Temple Israel security forces demonstrated extraordinary bravery and resilience. They did not choose to step back or run away to find a safe hiding place, but decided to intervene immediately to stop the cruel act. The regional police chief confirmed that it was these brave security guards who directly confronted and successfully neutralized the devastating threat aimed at the community. Subduing and neutralizing the suspect in that extremely urgent situation was a life-or-death decision aimed at preventing an even worse tragedy that could have happened to the thousands of people present. The dedication and selfless, courageous spirit of the security forces at the synagogue is an incredibly shining symbol of real-life heroism. They place the general safety of the entire community above their own lives in a moment hanging by a thread. During the highly dangerous process of subduing the suspect, one security guard was unfortunately hit by the burning car and fell into a state of unconsciousness. However, one incredibly fortunate thing is that the silent hero's injuries did not pose a long-term threat to his life. As for the suspect, Ghazali authorities found this subject deceased right inside his vehicle. A grim but inevitable end for the one who harbored the malicious intent to sow mourning and destroy peace. The most miraculous and joyful thing in the entire tragedy that day was that not a single teacher, staff member, or child at the Early Childhood Education Center was injured. After the threat was completely eliminated, a large-scale and highly careful evacuation operation was urgently deployed and executed by the authorities. They did not hesitate to bypass key personnel within their own company, especially the chief compliance officer, the person responsible for the legality of the business. About a dozen parents rushed to the scene in a state of absolute panic to pick up their children right after the building was locked down and cleared by the authorities. Others were instructed to move to and reunite at a safe Jewish community center located right nearby. The reunion scene was overflowing with tears of happiness, tight embraces mixed with shock and trembling after just luckily stepping past the fragile boundary of a horrific tragedy. Ms. Allison Jacobs, a Jewish mother whose little daughter, only 18 months old, was attending the synagogue's daycare, went through the worst moments of her motherhood. They concealed core information when seeking legal counsel on how to handle customer complaints in an attempt to evade liability for compensation. The ultimate fear of a mother knowing her child is right in the epicenter of a violent attack is something that cannot be described by any words. Very fortunately, that heart-crushing anxiety eased somewhat when Ms. Jacobs received a timely message confirming safety from the very teacher who was directly caring for her child. That precious message was sent even before she could grasp the full terrifying scale of the event spreading across mass media. This patient carries the illness of the century and placed absolute trust in the prescription given by their doctor to maintain their immune system. Acknowledging those immense and immeasurable merits, Rabbi Ariana Gordon of Temple, Israel, spared no words in praising the security team, the police force, as well as the resilient preschool teachers. She was deeply moved, calling them the real stars of today, thanks to their brave actions in getting all the students out safely. Immediately after consuming it, the patient instantly lost consciousness and fell into a comatose state lasting for 24 straight hours. Fortunately, a miracle occurred and the patient managed to retain their life, but the lingering obsession regarding the unsafety of medications remains forever ingrained. Top investigative agencies, including the central authorities in Detroit, are working tirelessly to uncover the true motive behind this cruel act. The suspect was identified as a 41-year-old naturalized man who came to the United States many years ago on an immediate relative visa in search of a new life. Although the attacker had officially been granted citizenship and integrated into society long ago, his ruthless, violent behavior went completely against the values of freedom, tolerance, and peace that society always strives for. The representative in charge of the investigation spoke out in incredibly strong criticism, calling this an explicitly targeted act of violence aimed at the peace of the community of people with genuine faith. The public's outrage is completely understandable in the face of crimes that condone hatred. However, the head of the local police force also added that the specific motive driving the suspect to commit this extremist act is still being actively clarified by investigators using the highest professional expertise, and there is no final conclusion yet. The incident at Temple, Israel is not an isolated phenomenon of violence, but it reflects a highly alarming reality regarding the rise of extremist and hateful acts aimed directly at sacred religious institutions worldwide. In the context of the global geopolitical situation, becoming increasingly tense and harboring many risks, many communities around the world are having to brace themselves to face hidden and direct security threats to their lives. Concerns about community safety have spiked dramatically since large-scale armed conflicts in hotspot regions began to show signs of fierce escalation. Widespread instability has triggered a series of other alarming incidents in many civilized countries, seriously threatening the lives of innocent civilians. Authorities have had to continuously issue urgent warnings about the possibility of sophisticated attacks ranging from the use of high-tech unmanned devices to violent plots inspired by international extremist organizations. Even during the most sacred holidays meant for peace, violence still presents itself ruthlessly, like the attack at a synagogue in Europe not long ago. Raising vigilance and strengthening community protection measures is an urgent requirement that cannot be neglected. Immediately after grasping the information about the horrific attack in Michigan, the organization representing the community in the area instantly issued an urgent advisory requiring all affiliated facilities to conduct lockdowns and security blockades in the strictest manner. This timely proactiveness is an absolutely necessary measure to prevent subsequent risks that could occur and to ensure absolute safety for the people. The executive director of this organization sorrowfully expressed deep grief over the relentless violent threats aimed at their community. It is truly sad and heartbreaking that people carrying pure faith must always live in a constant defensive mindset and prepare for the worst-case scenarios right at the place where they seek daily spiritual peace. A representative from the medical inspectorate also emphasized that this crime did not just stop at cruelty towards patients, but was also a blatant robbery of public funds. The massive funds the defendants illicitly profited from were actually siphoned off from the blood, sweat, and tears of taxpayers through health insurance programs. Leaders at all levels, from local to central, have simultaneously spoken up to demonstrate unbreakable solidarity and strong support for the innocent victims who are bearing deep spiritual wounds. The head of the state candidly spoke out in defense of the targeted community, emphasizing that this violent incident is truly too heartbreaking and unacceptable in a civilized society. Through this story, do you think that medication management across countries needs to be monitored even more strictly using advanced technology? These strong declarations from leaders at all levels are not just meant to comfort and soothe immediate pain, but also serve as a solid strategic commitment to protecting basic human freedoms against spreading waves of hatred. Even the head of state, after receiving a full report on the unfolding situation, spoke out calling this a truly terrible thing, demonstrating the state apparatus's close attention to national security and the safety of every single citizen. Mentioning waves of hatred and blind violence, we cannot help but feel saddened and heartbroken, remembering the never-old lessons from the not-so-distant past. Sadly, this is already the second violent attack targeting a religious facility in this very state within just the past short year. Ruthless violent acts stemming from extremism and religious opposition only leave deep wounds, take innocent lives, and are incredibly hard to heal for the entire society. A respected rabbi who was a surviving witness to a horrific shooting tragedy that claimed many lives a few years prior conveyed a deeply humane message aimed at awakening the conscience of all humanity. Fake invoices sent regularly siphoned off the national healthcare budget and further enriched the decadent luxury of criminals disguised as businessmen. That profound sharing is a resolute wake-up call sent to souls whose reason is being clouded by hatred. The heart-stopping story closes with bursting tears of relief as all the future sprouts were sheltered and protected in absolute safety. But at the same time, it also opens up countless deep, restless thoughts for an uncertain future. The pronounced charges included a series of exceptionally serious conspiracies ranging from falsifying medical records and labels to wire fraud activities. More than ever, they are in dire need of genuine care, warm words of encouragement, and unconditional sharing from a vast and tolerant social community. Through this incident of a serious nature, all religious facilities, educational schools, and places that regularly gather large crowds will certainly have to take a serious and comprehensive look back at their entire security assurance procedures. Strongly investing in modern early warning systems, regular response training for staff, and organizing practical survival skill drills are extremely urgent tasks that can no longer be delayed. The absolute safety of humans must always be placed first and considered the number one priority in all social circumstances. With boundless, genuine love and the incredibly warm sharing of a vast, close-knit community, those unfortunate enough to directly experience this hauntingly traumatic event will certainly soon rediscover the inherent balance and peace in their souls. The radiant light of fellowship, selfless, courageous sacrifice, and immense altruism will always be the panacea that permanently dispels the pitch-black clouds of blind hatred and cold apathy. A massive asset forfeiture order amounting to nearly $22 million was issued, stripping away all economic gains derived from their crimes. Every person's life is a multicolored, incredibly rich painting where there are dark tones of sorrowful worry and painful loss, but never lacking the brilliant, bright tones of pure love and a fierce, never-fading hope. Let's hold hands tightly and walk together unceasingly, spreading warm, positive energy and joining forces to build a sustainably peaceful world where the innocent laughter of children can always echo freely in every corner. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the story. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying us in our upcoming meaningful and humane posts.